Serious. Folks who used to be neckbeards or nice guys, nice girls, what helped you snap out of it, and how could people help friends or colleagues who may be on or going down that road? Story 1. Stop telling me to be yourself. Stop all that everybody's equal crap. What I really needed to hear was that life isn't fair. You are less attractive than other people, and you can either accept that or put some effort into improving yourself. The metaphor from Child's Ladder was something that stayed with me. Be yourself is good advice wrongly given. It should be the best version of yourself. There's the superficial stuff, like taking a shower, getting a haircut, getting in shape. There's the slightly less superficial stuff, like learning some new things, developing hobbies, etc. But the real work lies in becoming the best version of yourself and presenting that to the world. Are you smart? Then learn to present it as curiosity and knowledgeability and to resist being pedantic and superior. Are you funny? Learn empathy and awareness so your jokes don't hurt. Are you a nerd? Learn to be inclusive and enthusiastic rather than know-it-all gatekeeper. Do you have anger issues, self-esteem issues, or mental health problems? Get a therapist and work long and hard on those. None of those are part of the best version of you. Ultimately, my belief is that anyone can be themselves, with their unique traits and interests, and be accepted. But you have to understand that yourself as a concept is a mutable thing. That may seem callous or mercenary, but if you look at it as working against your negative traits, is it really a problem? Is being anxious, rude, angry, or entitled really such an integral part of your being? It's not. You don't even really think so. Those are the parts you need to change to really be your best self. Then you can be your whole self all the time. Story 2. Former nice girl here. I never understood why guys didn't like such a fun, non-slut me while complaining in the same breath that all men are misogynistic pigs. My form of showing interest was subtle talking, dropping hints, and general awkwardness. Also, I picked guys who were very attractive and confident, which intimidated me to the point where I couldn't have a normal conversation with them. In high school, I pretty much dedicated all my time to daydreaming about a boy who had no idea I existed. And in college, I chose the aggressive route of awkwardly flirting with him in public and refusing eye contact. I cannot think back without cringing. The funny thing is that both the boys ended up dating pretty normal-looking girls. I had put them on such a pedestal that with one breath, I was implying how undeserving I was of their attention while complaining how nice or good girls like me don't get the guys. I think ultimately, growing up and seeing all my closest friends settle into nice, stable relationships is what changed me. How could I expect to be in a healthy relationship when I couldn't value the gender I was supposed to be in a relationship with? Started valuing myself more and took some time off to be myself rather than be what somebody else wanted. Story 3. It's not something that just changes one day. It's all just beliefs and actions that really aren't the right things to be thinking or acting about. Even that super cute person you like is a person. All those thoughts you have in your head, they have them too. Their own conscience, their own ideas, their own beliefs. They're not just a thing for you to like. They're a complete person. If you want someone to like you, you have to be someone they would want to like. You can't get mad at someone for not liking you or not responding the way you want. Sure, you can get mad if they're actually rude to you, but that's not very often. And usually, the only reason someone would be rude is because you're continually pestering and annoying them. Imagine if someone you found unattractive was always talking to you and doing stuff for you. Is there any nice thing they could do for you that would all of a sudden make you attracted to them? Story 4. I was a nice girl. I was so embarrassed in high school. I never shut up about how much I loved them and how hard it was not to be loved back. To their faces, to their partners, to anyone. It was just the truth. So I thought, why should I hide it? I'd send them sad song lyrics or constantly compare us to tragic romantic figures. I actually remember being 14 and thinking to myself, this guy never messages you, but you talk to him every night. Probably doesn't want to talk to you. And I tried to hold off, but for whatever reason, I couldn't. Then one of the guys I was obsessed with decided to give me a chance. He took advantage of my mindless devotion and used me in every way possible over the next few years. I learned the hard way that you can't make someone be what you wish they were, and I don't want anyone else to have to learn their lesson like that. Nice guys, nice girls, all those stereotypes. One thing common among many of us is that we think we're smart enough to know what's best for other people. We also tend to think social niceties are unnecessary and dumb, to the point where basic respect goes out the window. On some level, we don't care that someone doesn't want a relationship with us as long as we think that's what's best for them. If someone like this is interested in you and you feel safe enough around them, to be honest, please don't let them down easily. Don't say, I'm not interested in dating. Say, I'm not interested in dating you. Tell them you don't want to talk to them or block them on social media. They'll try to make you feel like you're being rude, but you're not. Caveat. It isn't your responsibility to teach them how to respect you, but this is the quickest way to shut them down. If you're watching a friend go down this path, translate for them. I think if someone else had told 14-year-old me he's not messaging you because he doesn't want to talk to you, I'd have found it easier to do what I knew was right. They might go on a rant about why people can't just say what they mean, and you can explain to them that it's just the way the world works. If they're interested in women, you can show them all those studies on why women don't use harsh language. Or you can point out to them that it's useless to say what you mean if your actions don't support it. Give them examples of how their behavior demonstrates their lack of respect for others. But also, if they're a friend, be kind to them. Don't just dump the harsh truth on them and run. Tell them what is actually good, valuable, and interesting about them, and encourage them to develop those qualities. Invite them to do stuff that has nothing to do with dating. If you view dating and hooking up as the ultimate endgame goal, of course, you won't have self-confidence or a fulfilling life. Nice people, you can be yourself and still have romantic partners in a full social circle. You just can't be yourself at the expense of others. And that means you have to adapt. Figure out what you want out of your life other than not to be lonely, and you'll start feeling a lot better right away. I know the little social stuff might feel like crap at times, but you know what? Small talk doesn't have to mean chatting about the weather or top 40 music. It can mean talking about whatever is meaningful to you. If all you love is video games, if they're a real passion and not just mindless escapism, then make something out of that, you know? Go volunteer to moderate a fan forum, do a charity live stream, or go hiking and pretend you're a dwarf on a mission the whole time. You can make engaging conversations out of that stuff. And until you can engage people in conversation and show that you have your own interests in life, you won't get the social recognition you want. Story 5. It's a bit weird, but in my late teens, I'm 30 now, I started playing female characters in MMOs. Firstly, just as a joke, but as time went on and I started making friends, it became more and more difficult to tell people the truth. I soon found myself in the receiving end of the exact same attention and behaviors I was exhibiting in the presence of girls. It was like looking in a mirror for the first time. Every word and action seemed to be meticulously thought out, as if to be as inoffensive as possible while subtly trying to passive-aggressively build a relationship, as if I didn't see right through them. I wondered if it might be as obvious for actual women. I've never been the confrontational type, so I tried to let them all down as gently as possible, an approach that proved completely ineffective. I was worried that if I told them the truth, it would destroy them. I didn't want to be nasty either. Continuously, I found myself getting backed into corners like that. I honestly had no idea that's what I was doing. Story 6. I'll go. I was cringy as all get out in early high school, 10 years ago for me, and I'm super thankful that MySpace went south, so most of my cringeworthy nice guy posts are no longer accessible. What helped me was that I was involved in some hobbies that made me have a lot of older friends. One of them, about 10 years my senior, sat me down and straight up told me life was never going to be better until I changed how I was doing things. He didn't tell me to stop liking Lord of the Rings or video games, but to rethink how I express that to other people. Whether I am trying to exclude people with my interests or include them, whether I'm really being kind to everyone around me or just a nice guy to women I want to date. That advice couldn't come from a peer, because I hated my peer group, and couldn't come from my parents, who didn't know how deep the cringe went, but could have only come from a respected mentor. I really look forward to hearing from some recovered or recovering cringe lords. Story 7. I've said this before, but Reddit changed my attitude about whether I was the nice guy or an ass with a simple phrase. Women are not machines where you insert niceness tokens into. Sometimes the girl just isn't into you. That is her right. You can't force attraction. Story 8. One of the biggest catalysts is simply being made aware of the neckbeard stereotype, I think. Story 9. I think that my failed relationship with one of my first loves made me understand that I had problems in that area. I couldn't make a move because I was afraid of rejection or hurting her, which just ended up wasting both of our time. My first girlfriend, we both lost our virginity to each other, developed a huge crush on a bad boy in one of her classes. I was seething with jealousy and didn't understand how she was choosing him over a nice guy like me. She eventually ended up leaving me for him, then he rejected her, but that's beside the point. I went through a very cynical period towards women, quoting nice guys finish last garbage to my friends. Thankfully, I didn't put anything on social media. I vowed to treat women like bad boys by being more aloof and less caring. Funnily enough, it worked, and I got another girlfriend soon after and started to realize it wasn't being a bad boy. It was just treating her like a regular human. Putting women on a pedestal made me think I had to treat them like princesses when, in reality, they want to be treated like regular people. Story 10. The trick is to realize that women are pretty much the same as men. You know when some dude rolls up trying to act friendly, and you can tell he's trying to get something out of you. Just don't be that guy. Nobody likes him, and women have to talk to him a lot more often than you do. Even if it's just a dumb anecdote, people will be more inclined to let you hang out with them. Once you make actual, real-deal friends with a couple of women, it gets so much simpler. Story 11. I realized that not everything was about me. When you're this neckbeard or nice guy, it's really just a veil of desperation and cynicism. Everything you do is selfish and disingenuous. I was so nice to her, why won't she sleep with me? Catch a neckbeard when they're upset. You'll find that, very often, it's not about anyone else but them. They were so nice. They were hurt. They got the short end of the stick. Then it shifts to blaming. She doesn't like what's good for her. She's a user who abuses your kindness. She should be so lucky. because clearly only you know how to treat a woman right. It's disgusting and cringy. Story 12. For me, it was really about learning the distinction between being nice and being good. A good person is not nice, and a nice person is not good. A good person goes after what they want in a way that respects others' decision-making process. A good person finds someone who wants the same thing they do so that both will be happier. A nice person gives another what they want without negotiation for their own needs. They think, I met your needs, and now you have to meet mine. They see other people as owing them for their niceness. A nice person fundamentally misunderstands reciprocity. Yes, a good person will return a favor, but that does not mean you get to choose the favor. Doing something for someone else only to get what you want is manipulative and bad. A good person does not depend on reciprocity to get what they want. They are reciprocal because it's the right thing to do. They get what they want by stating it clearly and confidently and finding someone who wants the same. Story 13. I was never a neckbeard dude, but I did grow up isolated due to family life up north. I grew up with a bunch of older fishermen who hated my guts. I learned to socialize through violence and hardship. No feelings, just raw labor and a really dark and nihilistic view of life. In some ways, it was similar to the whole neckbeard thing. In another way, my life was totally opposite to the whole nice guy culture because I was never immersed in TV pop culture to be able to hate it. All I had was a fuzzy radio. Despite my lack of grammar skills, I was apparently smart enough to be employed by the government. My social skills had to improve to maintain a job, or it was back to being a fisherman for me. So I became just another guy at work. I tell other stories once in a while about how we would beat the crap out of people here and there, but they find my stories hard to believe or too savage for their taste. And we regularly go into war zones for work-related stuff, by the way, so I keep my past to myself. Violence throughout my life has made me cold, but then I got married and had a baby girl. Don't ask me how. I haven't figured that one out yet. So now I was forced by myself to be caring and considerate of others, and I truly had to learn to be pleasant among others. Before I had a family in the back of my head, I said to myself that I could always go back fishing up north. But there was no way in hell I was going to bring my family up there. So a pleasant man I became so I could keep my government job to be able to give my little girl a better life than I had. And that's what brought me out of that dark place where everyone and everything sucked. I did it for my baby girl. Story 14. I don't know if I ever went full neckbeard, but I spent a few years being an embarrassingly edgy atheist. I changed my ways once I matured a bit and got tired of always being the guy with something negative to say about everybody else. I live in the deep south, so most of my friends are religious, and you know what? It helps them. They're happy and fulfilled. They have a built-in community full of support through their churches. They have strong convictions that, even if I don't always agree with them, I can appreciate. I grew up and realized other people can have different views, opinions, and identities from me and still like and respect me as a person, and I can still like and respect them. But I prefer not to use the title atheist as it carries a lot of neckbeard baggage. Story 15. I guess I was a nice guy. I treated girls like they were perfect princesses with the idea that they would obviously see me as their dream man. A few times I confessed to these girls that I loved them, that I just wanted to make them happy, that they should be with me. In my freshman year of college, a senior in my fraternity explained Onitis to me. I was taking any little kind gesture from a female and exploding it in my head, convincing myself she was the one. All over simple things like sending me an IM or talking to me for 10 minutes. Once I realized that this infatuation was in my head, all over something that didn't exist, I got out of that rut. I just started talking to girls like people. Story 16. I was definitely a nice guy in college. The thing that snapped me out of it is that you shouldn't have to convince someone that they're supposed to be attracted to you. B. Think of someone you're not attracted to but would like to chill with or whatever. Could they convince you to be attracted to them? Could they say something that would make you attracted to them? Probably not, right? Does that make you a bad person? Or is it just that you're not attracted to them? It's okay to not be attracted to someone, right? C. Sometimes women date creeps, but not as often as you think. And remember that for everything she complains about, there isn't necessarily going to be a corresponding conversation where she tells you that she talked about it with her boyfriend and they worked it out, even though that might be exactly what happened. People generally only vent about the negatives. D. I learned a lot from the women I was just friends with in college. Pay attention to them. They might be able to give you some tips. You might also be able to learn from their example if it's someone who's truly awesome. If it's not someone who's awesome, maybe you don't have to be friends with them at all. I can't give any tips on the hygiene side for you neckbeards. Sorry, I just don't have experience with the kind of depression or low self-esteem that leads someone to stop taking care of themselves. But it's important to take care of yourself. Be someone you would be attracted to. Are you attracted to fat slobs who complain about nobody being attracted to them? Story 17. I'll be rational and superficial about this. I was a fat girl when I was 12. I hated it, so I started working out and dieting. I've been fit for many years, and I work hard for my appearance. Obviously, personality is very important, but everyone has different personalities, and each has its own one, and we shouldn't change it too much. While there's something I really think is just plain wrong for everybody, a lot of people who are not socially successful end up thinking they're losers. So there's no reason to take care of their appearance because it would not change things anyway. Actually, they start using their bad looks to justify why they're losers. That's plain bad. A lot of people who look bad could actually be hot with the right makeover, or at least they could look way better than they do. And taking care of your appearance and being happy about your looks can give you a huge boost in terms of confidence. And confidence always helps us find the motivation to improve ourselves. I believe that a good first step with these people is suggesting to them that they do something to look better, without being rude. You have to show you care about them by explaining what you think and maybe creating a situation where they can improve their looks. Story 18. I was pretty close to being one of those guys in early high school. Good online friends talked some sense into me, and I realized I had to improve myself if I wanted people to like me, and I did. I've never been a fat or unattractive guy, nor do I have a nice guy personality, but I've experimented with a lot of style choices that made me look unapproachable regardless. It's crazy what clothing and hairstyles can do to a man. I was fortunate enough to have a group of friends that were honest about their opinions. They thought I'd look great if I found the right style, but what I had wasn't working. I decided to trust their opinions and give them a shot. I cut my hair, bought clothes that fit me, and worked on my posture. I can't speak for everyone when I say this, but when I came back the next year, the way I was treated was evidently different. I can tell when people are interested in me, and I hadn't gotten that feeling at all while I had the old style. It was kind of surreal. Story 19. Recovering neckbeard here. Militant atheist, convinced of my own brilliance, toxic attitude towards women, that sort of thing. I'm still a big nerd, but I think my attitude toward women improved a lot when I started actually talking to them. Story 20. One day I realized nobody owes me anything for being nice. If you're nice for the wrong reasons, you're an